what baffles me isn't just that secular academia dismisses the notion of God and operates with the assumption that he doesn't exist, but while exhorting this belief, seems like they invest countless dollars, resources, searching space for some intelligent, powerful being that placed them here on earth to tell them a purpose, a reason why they're here. By definition, wouldn't that be God?
What you're going to see here is J.D. Vance and Sean Hannity discuss the fake peace deal. Unfortunately, and as usual, Hannity begins with all of the usual platitudes about hillbilly elegy and J.D. Vance supposedly growing up in Appalachia and the struggle that J.D. Vance supposedly had. It's quite sickening from my perspective to continue to hear this promotion of J.D. Vance and this promotion of the so-called peace deal. I personally believe that this peace deal was a fraudulent peace deal. There's nothing legitimate about this peace deal. And I've made it quite clear that there's not much difference between this peace deal and Obama's peace deal, because ultimately, at the end of the day, we're going to find ourselves in the same place that we were eventually going to find ourselves as it related to the Obama peace deal. And that will be with the Iranian Islamic theocratic regime having a nuclear weapon. And once they develop this nuclear weapon, once they develop these nuclear capabilities, they will hold the whole world hostage. And whatever president happens to be the president of the United States at the time, he will take the weak position that there's nothing that they can do because Iran now has a nuclear bomb. Therefore, Iran will be able to hold the world hostage in perpetuity because they now have a nuclear weapon. That will be a sad day. That will be a sad situation. Once Iran has a nuclear weapon, I can't see an individual that will have the intestinal fortitude to stand against Iran and to take Iran down in spite of them having the nuclear weapon. So since Trump has capitulated, since Trump has made this deal because Trump deems it to be more important to win in his mind as opposed to actually winning by destroying the Islamic regime so that they can never obtain that weapon. It's a sad day. It's a sad day in American politics. It's a sad day from the American military perspective. And all of this was done because everyone seems to be under the impression that under no circumstances can we have boots on the ground. And that's a shame, and that's sad. And America was built by having boots on the ground and people being willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. And I don't even believe that it was necessary to have American boots on the ground. Israel is in the region. I believe that Israel is willing to put boots on the ground, and Israel should put boots on the ground and arm the Persian citizens and the non-Arab citizens of Iran and give them an opportunity to fight, give them an opportunity to be the boots on the ground, give them an opportunity to win their freedom. As I had stated earlier in a previous video, we don't have to be boots on the ground. We can allow the Israelis and the non-Arab citizens of Iran to be the boots on the ground. We can arm them. We can use our soldiers and the Israeli soldiers to go in and arm them, and then our soldiers can evacuate, and we can then provide air support and other forms of support without being the boots on the ground, so that once and for all we can be finished with this Islamic theocratic regime that is bound and determined to get a nuclear weapon. And I am stating here clearly on Friday, June the 19th, that they will have a nuclear weapon. And Trump had the opportunity to make sure that they would never have the nuclear weapon, and he has failed. He has absolutely failed. He has absolutely let us down. And yet he is going out boasting and bragging, claiming to have a victory. This is not a victory at all. This is a capitulation. There was only one way to obtain victory in this situation, and that is by the absolute destruction and removal of the regime. I don't care about how many boats you destroy. I don't care about how many airplanes you destroy. I don't care about how much infrastructure you destroy. I don't care about how many nuclear facilities you destroy. I don't care about the centrifuges. You know, that's all good. But the job it cannot be complete without destroying the actual motivation behind it, and that is the Islamic theocratic regime of Iran. That is the motivation. You don't drop a few bombs and just kill their motivation. You don't drop a few bombs and cause them to say, okay, you know what? We will just abandon our ideology because Trump dropped some bombs on us, destroyed some of our infrastructure, destroyed our Navy, destroyed much of our military, and that's it. We give up. We quit. This is all a power move, a sinister move on the behalf of the Iranian regime, and they are actually outfoxing Trump right now at this very moment with this move that they're making. I'm a Trump fan. I supported Trump all 3 times, but I'm not a homer. I'm not going to sit up here and support Trump when he's wrong. I'm not going to sit up here and support Trump when Trump has just continued to jeopardize the world by claiming victory when there is no true victory, claiming to have a deal when this could never be a deal, and thereby allowing the world to once again have to stare nuclear proliferation in the face. Trump just doesn't have the intestinal fortitude to do this because he is afraid of losing the midterms. He's concerned with his legacy and how people will think about him. And he doesn't understand that in order to have a strong legacy, a legacy that would be impenetrable, he would need to eradicate the Iranian regime and thereby once and for all do away with that threat of nuclear proliferation and Iran eventually causing World War III and holding the world hostage because they have developed nuclear weapons and ballistic nuclear missiles. They showed us that our intelligence isn't as good as we believe it to be. And you're going to hear J.D. Vance, and you're going to hear Sean Hannity, and you're going to hear Trump eventually, and you have heard these individuals speak about our intelligence and how reliable it is and how great it is. But our intelligence isn't, and that includes the Israeli intelligence as well, because neither countries knew that they had missiles that could travel 3,000 miles. They could reach all of the major metropolitan areas throughout Europe and all of our American military outposts throughout Europe and Africa. And now they have discovered that Iran had secretly accomplished this. If Iran was able to secretly develop weapons that can reach 3,000 miles and beyond, unbeknownst to us, unbeknownst to the Israelis, then what would make you think that they aren't already back on a path to nuclear proliferation? What would make you think that they can't likewise develop a nuclear weapon without us knowing? They are going to immediately go out here onto the black market. They are going to immediately go to the North Koreans. They are immediately going to go to the Chinese. They are immediately going to go to the Russians. And through those entities, they are going to piece together the things that they need to very rapidly, very expeditiously reestablish their nuclear program, unbeknownst to us. And to be quite honest, I don't think that anybody, in particular, whoever would walk into the Oval Office after Trump, would be willing to go to war with Iran and completely neutralize them, completely destroy that Islamic regime, and allow the Persians and the non-Arabs to take over that country and run that country as a world partner, someone that is not looking to develop nuclear warheads and be a threat to the rest of the world. And certainly no Democrat would be willing to go back in and do anything about Iran once again pursuing nuclear proliferation. And to be brutally honest, I don't think that there is anyone on the Republican side I'm not trusting to be willing to go back in and to take care of the job that Trump failed to do. Trump has certainly failed to take care of that situation in Iran. Conservative media, Sean Hannity, he's a massive homer for J.D. Vance and Trump. He's being intellectually dishonest. He knows damn well that Trump doesn't have a deal. He knows damn well that this so-called deal is pathetic. He knows damn well that the only way to resolve this situation is to absolutely go in and to destroy this Islamic theocratic regime. And Sean Hannity, in spite of knowing that, is not willing, is not man enough, does not have the intestinal fortitude to come before the United States of America. He has one of, if not the largest platform, and be honest about it, and thereby put pressure on Trump to do what he should do. And the reason why Sean Hannity isn't going to do that, because Sean Hannity would rather be in the good graces of Trump and the administration and J.D. Vance. He would rather be in their good graces as opposed to being honest and causing Trump to feel a little discomfort and causing J.D. Vance to feel a little discomfort, causing this administration to feel a little discomfort, and to the degree to where we can cause them to go back in and do what they need to be done. Gentlemen and ladies, I have to be honest with you. I think it's over. I think it's over. I think this deal is a deal that seals the fact that the Iran will eventually get a nuclear weapon. This is a deal, but it's not. This is not the deal that they are telling you this is. This is a deal that is going to lead to nuclear proliferation by Iran. That's what this is. Let me tell you why Trump sent J.D. Vance out here to do this interview. And throughout this interview, I'm obviously going to have to pause and comment on what you're hearing. And I'm going to pause and elaborate on what you're hearing. So, but the reason Trump sent him out is because Trump knows that this is not a real deal. So what does he do? He's sending J.D. Vance out to talk about this deal, to champion this deal, to sell you this deal, to sell you the idea that this is a deal. And one thing that I like about the fact that he's sending J.D. Vance out is this. We'll look back when this deal goes to hell, and we will associate this deal not as much with Trump as we will with J.D. Vance, because Trump will have left the Oval Office and gone back into private life. And this deal and the failure of this deal will be assigned to J.D. Vance. It's what I'm thinking is going to happen. And I'm thinking that Trump understands that and Trump knows that. And I think he's done this for two reasons. Because J.D. Vance was never on board with doing anything to Iran. He was in the camp with Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and his buddies. In particular, Tucker Carlson is J.D. Vance's buddy. And I also believe that Trump sent him out not just because J.D. Vance was never on board with doing something to Iran and destroying Iran, attacking Iran on any level. I also believe that he sent J.D. Vance out because he wants to sabotage J.D. Vance. Because I believe that Trump doesn't necessarily prefer J.D. Vance to be the heir apparent. I believe that Trump prefers Marco Rubio. And I believe that's why Trump is sending J.D. Vance out, because Trump understands that once this deal implodes, it will be associated to a degree with J.D. Vance, because J.D. Vance was a strong proponent for this deal. Even more so, J.D. Vance was a strong proponent to never, ever attack Iran in the first place.
News alert. In just one moment, we will be joined by the Vice President of our country. J.D. Vance is in studio with us. Great to have you. No topic off limits, including the historic peace agreement with Iran that defied expectations.
The historic peace agreement with Iran that defied expectations. That's pure garbage. That's pure nonsense. And he couldn't even get that out because he knows that that is absolute garbage. He completely understands that this first and foremost is not a peace deal. Second, it is not historic because it has no validity. And in order for something to be historic, it has to have validity. It has to actually be something that is real. It's not real. Iran will not follow the rules that are and the guidelines that have been set out. And that's just what it is, ladies and gentlemen. So we do not have a historic peace deal, but he has to say that because It's what he's been instructed to say.
Across the finish line, thanks in part to the vice president. We will discuss the president's trip that is on.
You see, he said that this whole situation got past the finish line thanks in part to the vice president. You see, they are setting him up, and good, they should set him up. He should take ownership for this thing because all along he wasn't on board for going in and intervening inside of Iran and doing what we did because, as I explained earlier, he holds the same position as his ally and as his close friend, Tucker Carlson, who is a Trump hater. And likewise, I still contend that J.D. Vance is a Trump hater, but J.D. Vance is an opportunist, and he saw an opportunity, and he took advantage of it.
Ongoing now for the G7. What does the vice president think about Graham Plattner, James Tallarico, other radical Democrats running in midterms? What about 2028? And will Vice President Vance make it official tonight right here and throw his hat in the ring? As you can see, a lot of ground to cover. And why is he going on The View, including the vice president's very first book since his world-famous hillbilly elegy? It's entitled Communion, Finding My Way Back to Faith.
Enough with all of the platitudes. Enough with, will the vice president officially announce here today on Hannity? I'm sick of this crap. I'm sick of the platitudes. I'm sick of the butt kissing. Hannity, I mean, it's difficult for me to stomach this guy because he does not have the ability to disagree with the administration. He does not have the ability to challenge the decisions of the administration. And as I stated before, I'm all on board with Trump, but I'm not on board with this fake peace deal. This is absolute garbage. And I've explained to you why this is garbage. But back to this whole Hannity interview with J.D. Vance, I am sick and tired of the platitudes, of the hillbilly elegy, which is garbage, which is an erroneous story, if you ask me. I'm sick with this business of, will you throw your hat in the ring officially here tonight? Stop being such a homer. Stand up, have a pair, and question the decisions that have been made as it relates to Iran, and actually speak to how dangerous this is for Trump to consider that he has a deal. Explain how this is dangerous and detrimental to the United States for Trump to even suggest that he has a deal. Can you do that, Sean Hannity? But absolutely you will not do that because you're just sold out for Trump, no matter what he does.
And without further ado, Mr. Vice President, how are you?
Good to see you, Sean.
Good to see you. I don't get to see you in person a lot.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Okay, so you start off this life in Appalachia and very tough upbringing, very poor upbringing, difficult times, abuse at home. Your mom struggled with addiction. You have a devout grandmother. Now you're the vice president. You're 41 years.
You see, that's what I'm talking about. Every time you introduce this guy, or every time anybody is introduced that supposedly had a difficult upbringing, we have to run down all of these things that they claim happened throughout this difficult upbringing. I'm sick of it. I don't need to hear that. And that by no means does that excuse the fact, and for many people it does, but for me it doesn't excuse the fact that J.D. Vance is a fraud, that J.D. Vance is a Trump hater, that J.D. Vance is just like his good buddy Tucker Carlson, and that J.D. Vance should not be the heir apparent moving forward. And I can go into a lot of reasons why, and some of it I am obviously stating as we move along here. So, you know, J.D. Vance is a fraud. J.D. Vance continues to be a Trump hater, and that's the reason why he continues to be in bed with Tucker Carlson. That is why he was against the whole Iranian conflict in the first place, because J.D. Vance is not cut out for this. It's just that simple.
Old, and now you're negotiating what might be the path to peace in the Middle East for the first time in however many thousands of years. Not a bad life.
Not a bad life at all, man. Only in America. And I think that if you have a life like I've led, you have to have incredible gratitude to the country. And the best way to show that gratitude is just try to do as...
This is acting, ladies and gentlemen. But this acting suffices for many of you, for most of you. This acting that you see, and let me say this, J.D. Vance is a good actor. He's a very good actor. And he's acting right now. He's playing this role. He's created this character. He's created this role. And he plays it very well. And the reason why he plays it very well is because he has thought about this role long and hard.
My life has been so charmed. In some ways, things have been a struggle, but in a lot of ways, man, I've just been so blessed. And there's this sense that God was always looking out for me, even when I strayed from the path, even when I called myself an atheist.
He said, even when he strayed from the path, even when he called himself an atheist. You see, this guy went from being an atheist to supposedly now being where he doesn't really say. Is he suggesting that he's a Christian? And if you are suggesting that you are a Christian and that you are once again, that you have become a Christian, that you have been transformed from being an atheist, as he claimed he used to be, well, he said he used to be an atheist. Well, if along the way, as you went from being an atheist to supposedly, I'm assuming, becoming a Christian, how did you fail to bring your wife along with you? Why is she still a Hindu, worshiping 330 million false, erroneous gods, and yet you're a Christian? You two then would be unequally yoked.
That faith that my grandmother had sort of imbued me with was always there in the background. And of course, it's an important part of the way that I go about my duties today, but it's just an important part of who I am.
Now, he's suggesting that his grandma instilled some sort of faith in him. He never says what type of faith. I don't know what faith he's referring to. And he even goes on to say that it was always in the back of his mind, I guess, suggesting that even when he strayed away from the path of faith, i.e. faithfulness, that his grandma had originally taken him down, he always had that in the back of his mind. And now he's suggesting that he has once again returned to that faith, whatever that faith is, that his grandma had originally instilled within him. But once again, I have to say, what about your wife? Why didn't you bring her along with you? And if you had that faith at the time that you met your future wife, why didn't you instill that within her? Why did you marry her, knowing that she was a Hindu, knowing that she worshiped 330 million false, fake, erroneous gods? Was it that you loved the idea of her and you together more so than you loved the idea of you and your God?
So let's talk about the Iranian deal.
Sure.
What frustrates me about the Iranians, Donald Trump says A, and somebody will come out, some aspect of that government, and contradict what the president said.
Yeah.
And they came out with, quote, a memorandum of understanding, which is what was signed, official signing on Friday in Geneva, and it contradicted a lot.
Gentlemen and ladies, a memorandum of understanding is not a deal. A memorandum of understanding is not a deal. A memorandum of understanding, from the Iranian perspective, is I'm going to buy some time. I'm going to buy some time. I want to stop the bombing, so I'm going to buy some time. I want to open the strait, and I need to make a little money. I need to buy some time in order to do that. So I will assign this memorandum of understanding, and thereby buy some time, accumulate some cash, accumulate some income, make some repairs within my country. Certainly, they're going to go out and then continue the oppression of the non-Arab peoples of Iran. And this is just a scam. This is just a scam because, I said it wasn't a deal. And we go from having a deal to having a memorandum of understanding. Two totally different things. If you want to be honest, they're two totally different things.
It's not. So I've seen a lot of misinformation out there. I've seen $24 billion going from.
This Jack just said that he sees a lot of misinformation out there. You are currently, J.D. Vance, giving us misinformation. This is misinformation. This is fake news when you tell us that you have a deal, which we know you don't have. And once we get into the body of the conversation, You talk about a memorandum of understanding, as if I'm supposed to be some sucker and just supposed to accept, oh, okay, just let that blow by. The fact that you went from having a deal to having a memorandum of understanding, which isn't a deal.
Is number one, the Straits of Hormuz were open immediately. You already see oil prices coming down substantially, and I think they're only going to come down even further. Number two, it ensures that Iran.
That's what they want. They want oil prices to come down for the midterm, and they are hoping that that will save them for the midterm. Well, listen, the Supreme Court decision is what saved the midterms, because Republicans don't know how to run campaigns. Republicans don't really know how to run against Democrats. And they needed that Supreme Court decision prior to the midterms. And it was the right decision, no doubt, because you cannot set up political borders within the states based on race. You cannot determine districts based on race. And that was wrong, and that should have been overturned a long time. And thank God that the Supreme Court took that opportunity to overturn that and to correct that whole situation. And that is the thing that might just save Republicans going into the midterm, because when it comes to running a campaign and winning elections, Republicans don't know how to do that anymore. Because their way of doing that is, let's look as much like Democrats as we can. Let's come out and look pro-LGBTQ. Let's come out and sound and look as though we are pro-abortion. Let's come out and appeal to everybody that doesn't like us, as opposed to appealing to our base, which would be evangelicals, the Judeo-Christian base. Let's ignore them. And let's go out here and let's appeal to the log cabin Republicans. Let's appeal to the pro-abortionists. Let's appeal to the left. Let's look more like the Democrat than the Democrat looks like the Democrat. That's our new position as Republicans. And because of that, you're going to lose two key components. The evangelical vote, who has been staying home because Republicans want to identify more and more with liberal values. And you're going to lose the black male vote that you have acquired within the past 10 years. And I called that, and I explained that back in 2009, 2010. And I continued to explain that whole situation with the black male vote. No one else was saying that. No one else was speaking at Tea Party events and Republican events and talking to Republican groups and organizations and explaining to them that moving forward, you needed the evangelical vote and you needed the black male vote. I explained this to them. I explained it this to them repeatedly, and I tried desperately to get Republicans to invest in pursuing the evangelical vote and the black male vote. They did not want to listen. They flat out said that they would not spend any money on pursuing those efforts. And I told them that you should certainly pursue black males, because the black male is inherently conservative. The black male does not really identify with the left. He's doing that out of tradition. He's voting and aligning himself with the left and with the Democrats out of tradition. He's doing that and aligning himself with them because he does not want to be ostracized from the black community. He does not want to come under fire by the black female and his mom, his grandma, his sisters, his aunts, and those black females that he will potentially date. So like a simp, he will go on ahead and he will vote Democrat. But I explained to them that there are many black men that have the intestinal fortitude to turn his back on all of that demonic Luciferian activity going on the left, in spite of what his mom, his aunts, his grandma, his sisters. I explained this thing. I explained how black females in the black church have sold out to the Luciferian left, to the Democrat Party. They have sold out to Lucifer. They have sold out to Satan. I explained how the black male will begin to caucus with the Republicans, but I also explained and warned that you're going to jeopardize the black male vote as quickly as you obtain it, you're going to jeopardize it, because the reason that they are coming over to the Republican side of the ledger is because they identify with what they believe are the values that you continue to champion. But they haven't quite picked up on the fact that the Republican Party is very rapidly distancing themselves from the values, the original Republican values, the original conservative values, the Judeo-Christian values. The Republican Party is distancing themselves from that because they don't like how that is unpopular with the millennials, the Gen Zers, the LGBTQ crowd, and the pro-abortion crowd. And they feel as though it would be in their best interest to kind of reach out and try and cultivate a relationship with those groups of people, as opposed to continuing to cultivate a relationship with the Judeo-Christians, the evangelicals, and even the black male vote that has recently come on board. And so, hey, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what's about to happen. The Republican Party is going to throw the black male vote away. The Republican Party is going to throw the evangelical vote away. And they're going to continue to be all in for these Gen Zers and these millennials and their values, or should I say their lack of values, because they are more concerned with winning elections, not winning elections by maintaining their original values and principles. And this is a sad situation as I watch this Republican Party destroy itself, implode, fall apart. And that's why I'm in the process locally of forming a new, truly conservative party.